Right, take two of the video. I tried to make this for you guys yesterday, and I completely forgot the timeline of how I've been filming things over the years. It's quite scary. Promised you guys a video documenting the story of Resident Evil Classified, if you will, just to keep you guys up to date. And as a bit of a filler before I upload the Resident Evil short I'm making tomorrow. It'll be uploaded on Friday, so before you get that, you'll get this. Just before I get started, Creed is still coming first. I'm doing a couple of shorts in the time between now and then because I don't need a budget to make these shorts, so it's just stuff I can do in my spare time. So this will be a bit of a history in Resi, if you will. I'll be referring to notes for this because it's the first time I've actually had to make notes for a video, because this is like 5 years worth of videos online, so it's a long time. Those of you who've been following me for a while, you'll know I'm pretty much obsessed with Resident Evil. Obsessed is probably an understatement. Yeah. I did media and film. Started off doing it at Ivy Bridge, which is what, Devon. Did it for a year there before I moved to Strode, and I did media studies and film studies. During my last year, I think, at college, I had my own camera, started making my own short films, if you will. The obsession with Resi started when I was like 12, I think. So I was playing it when I shouldn't have been, if I'm honest, because they were all 15s. I was playing them anyway, but I mean, you can't really say there's gore in those games at all. It's pixelated blood, for God's sake. But I started it when I was like 11 or 12. First played Resident Evil 2, I believe. Then I went out and picked up Resident Evil 1. I got Resident Evil 3 the day it came out. And I've pretty much got them as they've come out along the way. I've not missed a release date for any Resi game. Hate the films, the Hollywood films, can't stand them. So don't ask me about the Hollywood films because I really can't stand those fucking things. And it was while I was at college that it sort of dawned on me, you know, I could make a Resi film, I reckon. When I was 14, I wrote my first Resident Evil fanfic, which is where my OC originally came from. Now, my OC's gone through way too many different forms. I was going through some short stories that I wrote last night while I was at work, or this morning, I should say. And it dawned on me just how much he's changed. I mean, character originally started off as Ben Chambers, and it was meant to be Rebecca Chambers' brother. Not quite sure why I made that decision. Reading back through the stories, it's kind of a bit odd. There was, I think it was my way of putting emotions into some of the stories, because obviously Ben had a relationship with a character that was meant to be Albert Wesker's daughter. Because yes, I wrote a fic that was it was meant to be a sort of Wesker's Not So Bad, but the way that the story plays out is it's not a case of that. It's basically a story about Wesker being an ass. He he doesn't care who he betrays. He sets up his daughter and all this sort of stuff to obtain a virus sample for the company he works for. And that was Ben Chambers. That story went on for quite a while, so that OC is still there somewhere. Then it moved on to, I think it was Carl Southall. He originally started off as I think he was just a police officer or a random survivor. Then he became STARS. Then he became UBCS. Then he went mercenary against what was left of Umbrella after it disbanded. Now he's BSAA. He's done a lot of things along the way. When he was UBCS, he was undercover, so he wasn't actually working for UBCS. But the OC's come quite a long way over the years, and the evolution of the OC's been in Resident Evil Classified as well. Because I mean, started off, my first Resi video was an AMV, and that was, according to my dates, that was uploaded on the 7th of October 2006, and that's coming up to 5 years ago. It's a long time that I first did that. First live action piece I did was the 14th of January. That was 2008, I believe. That was when I got I think it must have been a new camera for Christmas. I think I broke my old camera, or I lost my old camera. I can't remember. I don't remember exactly. I think it was broken. I broke it, and I got a new one for Christmas. And then I made a real quick teaser for a film that's called Resident Evil Classified. Back then it was called Classified because I didn't want to reveal the title. But that was about a UBCS guy who at that point was unknown. But it was meant to be my OC when he was undercover. Then from there it went... that sort of started the work for Classified. That was the origin, if you will. And it was Crimson, Resident Evil Crimson. That was curious. That was a very curious short to film. That was 23rd of January, again in 2008. I did a lot of work for Resi in 2008, and it kind of stopped for a year afterwards. I mean, I had the first Classified teaser, then I had the second Classified teaser in February. Funny story for you, the second Classified teaser, which I will link here, the second Classified teaser was actually filmed the day that Devil May Cry 4 came out. This was back when me and Zero were pretty much best mates. He came over, my family went away, so I had an empty house, so we got 2 TVs in the front room, and me and him pretty much sat down and just played Devil May Cry 4 all night. Now we stopped, I think it was about 2 in the morning, completely trashed my mum's house, completely trashed it, just to film this sort of minute-long short. It's quite funny actually, because if you look in the background of the video, I think you can just about see the static on a TV. That static is actually the game over scene for Devil May Cry 4, where it says, all hope is lost, I think it is. We thought that would be kind of cool to pan across, but obviously the old TVs back then, you couldn't pan a camera across it and see what was on the TV, so it kind of didn't work. But that was a STARS member, again. That was supposed to be Carl Southall. Then it moved on to Conspiracy Theory. That was basically the first evolution of Resident Evil Classified. That was me revealing it with the first working title, if you will. That was filmed when me and Zero went to Sand Hill for the first time. And surprisingly, that was filmed, a link for that video here. Surprisingly, that was filmed with just me and him, which is why there's not a lot going on in it. We trekked over with a load of my airsoft kit, and we just filmed it on the spot. The idea of that was a UBCS member thrown up against a STARS member. I don't remember ever naming the UBCS, but the STARS was Carl Southall again. That was 16th of March, again in 2000. All of these are in 2008. During that time between January and March, there was a lot of paperwork I was putting in for Classified, but back then it was mostly on paper. Before I started to move to digital backups with Celtics when I first got it. And that sort of went on a shelf after that. That was the last that you hear of Resident Evil Classified for a while, because after that it was another AMV that I made, titled Infinity. That came out on the 26th of April. That, I think, was dedicated to my now ex-fiancée, Melissa. That video, I think, took 26 hours of solid editing. I didn't sleep for 26 hours just to edit that video. It's bloody ridiculous. Then after that, there was an entire month where I didn't do anything Resi related, but then I did the first Chris Redfield short. That idea surprisingly came to me just out of the blue. It was just after I finished my Code Veronica X Chris cosplay. First cosplay I'd made. It was for Otacon. I had it ready to go over, and I decided I was going to do a short at a friend's house. It basically involved if you play Resident Evil 3, you get an epilogue for Chris Redfield. And in it, he's got a white shirt, jeans, and a leather jacket. Now, I was lucky enough, I found a leather jacket that's pretty much identical to it in a charity shop for about £10. Charity shops are possibly the best place to find some of the best things ever, but they're few and far between sometimes, unless you've got a lot of charity shops in your area. But I definitely recommend looking in charity shops, even if you've got nothing planned. You know, I've walked into charity shops before and seen things and gone, I could make a film if I had something, utilising something like that, and it's a really good place to start. So I had the costume from the Resident Evil 3 epilogue. I've lost the jeans. I think I left them at Melissa's, and obviously me and her split up, so I'm probably never going to see those jeans again. I think I've still got the shirt somewhere, but that was the Resident Evil 3 Chris, and then he goes into a flat, has a shower. It's fan service in every single Chris Redfield short I've done. There's some kind of fan service, apart from one of them. And he gets kitted out into Code Veronica kit. The whole point was that was meant to lead him into Code Veronica where he turns up, but it was really badly done. Back then, I wasn't quite as educated, the timeline, if you will. So that sort of came. I didn't mind it as the start of something in the Chris Redfield sort of side of things. That came out on the 4th of June. Then it was a pretty much 2-month break until my next video, which was my first live action tribute, which is basically a montage of just random clips that I'd filmed along the way. That came out on the 28th of August. Now, the time frames between 2006 and that point in 2008, I'd actually done several projects, several Resident Evil projects, a couple of photo shoots, and some shorts that I filmed out in and around Street. So obviously I used to live in Street with my mum. Did a couple of shorts that just never got released because I don't actually know really. It just never saw the light of day for some reason. But there's a lot of footage for me to be going through. One of them involved an interesting tyrant. I wasn't going to be in it. I was actually removing myself from the film as a main character for once. I was going to play the tyrant. And the tyrant was codenamed Valkyrie. Originally it was meant to be female, and basically it was a woman wearing high heels and pretty much a black leather catsuit, but massive combat modifications to it. You know, the upper half of the catsuit was armoured, the lower half had sort of holsters and knife rigs and all this sort of stuff all around the thighs, the boots were bladed on the outside, and she was blindfolded, dual-wielding knives. That's possibly the scariest idea I've ever had, because whenever, if and when I can find a female to play that character, that tyrant, she would have to be so comfortable fighting with knives, blindfolded, and she'd have to be really, really good at, like, on balance-wise. It would pretty much have to be a gymnast, if I'm honest, because some of the combat moves that I had her choreographed to do, now that I look back at it, it's just unreal. You know, my choreography's evolved as the films have evolved, especially fight, hand-to-hand fight and firefight-wise. Looking back at some of the choreography I had for the project back then, it's all, you can see the changes that I've had in my mind. Some of the fight moves back then are really sort of impossible, you know, not without sort of wire rigs and all this sort of stuff. And I've obviously woken up to the fact that I don't have access to this stuff. I don't have these like dynamic rigs. I don't have access to pneumatic ramps to throw people, nothing like that. So it's all changed. But these little projects sort of got filmed along the way, and they never saw the light of day. So I've got a massive, I think I've got something like a 37 gig archive of Resident Evil footage that, you know, just never got used. But Classified kind of got shelved towards the end of 2008, primarily because me and Zero started working on Devil May Cry. Now, Devil May Cry pretty much took up a year, and as you all know, Devil May Cry never got released because I've termed it as a jinxed project. I won't work on a Devil May Cry project now because I had one planned before the one that me and Zero were doing, and I was going to play Dante in it, and I bleached my hair white. My hair was down here. I got it bleached white specifically for that film. It completely ruined my hair, and it cost me something like 110 quid. It took me 2 weeks to persuade my hairdresser to do it for me. And then the cast and crew bailed, and I was like, right, okay, great, fair enough. I had to fix my hair after that, and I ended up getting it all cut off. And then the year that me and Zero spent doing the Devil May Cry film that we had planned, I think we were calling it Ascension or Rebirth. Just, it never happened, it all fell apart. We had disputes with regards to myself and Zero's partner at the time. At the time, she wanted to be involved in the project, but she wanted to be a main character. Now, unfortunately, by the time she decided this, we'd already finished the script. So I had to try and build in a main character for her, and it just wasn't working. And it drove a wedge between me and Zero because she wanted to be on the project, she couldn't, and she couldn't accept the fact that I offered her 2 or 3 minor roles. And she was going to play all of those 3 minor roles with different costumes, but she wasn't having any of it, so it kind of fell apart. So Devil May Cry got filmed and then shelved. And that was pretty much a year of nowhere media. This is going to hit over 15 minutes, so I'm going to split this into two. We're going to have like a half-hour video of me rambling about Resident Evil Classified. I'm going to call it here. I'm going to go grab myself a can of drink, and I'll be back in about 30 seconds to carry on the story.